So, today I want to look at three players who I feel could change the future of the NBA and shift the balance of power in a meaningful way, in terms of championship equity. And obviously, there's tons of players who are going to change the future of the NBA. But I'm just focusing on three guys, and I'm not really focusing on the top tier like the Luka, Zion guys of the world, but just a tier below that, players who still have room to grow and develop. But with that being said, let's get right into it. With the first player, who is Brandon Ingram, who is 23 years old, and he is a long 6'8" forward who can play small forward, but might be a power forward in the modern NBA. He can score and he can now shoot. He's worked really hard on his three-point shot at an elite level, and he's pretty mediocre at all the other stuff. That's not, a slant on his game, but he doesn't really excel at anything else but scoring, and that's okay. He's averaging 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on the season, shooting 47% from the field and 38% from three, and also almost 90% from the free throw line. And the big question for him is, can he become the ideal second option next to Zion? Because if he can, the Pelicans will be a very scary team in the future. And obviously it's mainly because of Zion, but Ingram also has a big piece to play in that. If he can improve things like his defense and become a player who is capable of guarding the other team's best player, if it's a wing or a bigger guard, and if he can improve his playmaking, and maybe this one isn't as crucial as it may have seemed a couple months ago due to Zion's playmaking improvements, but if he can improve his playmaking and become one of their primary ball handlers who can create for others. He hasn't proved that, to be fair. He's averaging 5 assists a game, but if he can take it to the next level, he did get the max contract from the Pelicans, and he is a part of their future. And if he can step up, they're going to be a really scary team. If it's Ingram and Zion, they could be challenging for the title in the next couple years even. Obviously, the Pelicans still have other stuff to figure out between Bledsoe and Steven Adams not being ideal and Lonzo being a free agent this offseason. But if Ingram can continue to develop and become a really great second option next to Zion, then that would really make a massive difference. If he sort of stays what he is, obviously that's a very, very good player, a player who is a borderline all-star, I would say. But, maybe the Pelicans aren't super great. Like this season, they're not even in the play-in game. Obviously, that hasn't been Ingram's fault, nor has it been Zion's. It's been a combination of the coaching, the fit with having Bledsoe and Steven Adams, along with a couple of other things. But over the next couple of seasons, if the Pelicans decide to go all in and decide to build a team around Zion and decide to, think they have the window and they should go for it, like I think they should do, then Ingram's going to be a really key piece of that, just because of, the untapped potential and what he could be, even though he already is a really, really great player. And the other thing is, I don't think Ingram's going to get traded, but, if a superstar becomes available and Ingram hasn't taken a leap, he hasn't really improved on defense, and he's maybe taking shots you wouldn't love him to take, that maybe should go to Zion, then there is maybe a potential that either Ingram gets moved or the Pelicans move a variety of their future picks and maybe some other assets for a second star next to Zion, and Ingram becomes the third star, or he gets shipped off. I don't think that's going to happen. I do believe in Brandon Ingram as a very hard worker and a player who can make the next step, and I think that'd be really key for the future of the Pelicans. Okay, the second player is DeAndre Ayton, who is 22 years old. He was obviously the first pick in the 2018 draft by the Phoenix Suns. He is a really strong, physically gifted big man. He has great physical tools in terms of his size, his strength, his quickness, that sort of thing, and could really be a dominant player, but just isn't. He's a bit timid, a bit shy, and I feel like he doesn't physically impose himself like he really could. He's averaging 15 and 11 on the season, which is pretty good, but he definitely has the ability to average much more. Though I will say he's made a good improvement this season. Even though the numbers don't totally reflect that, he's improved defensively, and he's just a bit better all round, and the lesser numbers are just due to less shots and circumstances, and not regression at all. In fact, he's really getting better. But he's 62% from the field, 76% from the free throw line, but only 2.5 free throws a game, which is a bit disappointing. I feel like he could definitely even double that or even more if he was more aggressive and just put his shoulder down in the post. I don't want to sound like a super old school guy, but he really is very, very gifted physically. That was one of the reasons he was the number one overall pick. He defensively, as I said, he's improved a lot. 1.1 blocks a game. Has become a decent rim protector. Someone who can do it consistently. And on the perimeter, obviously he's not great, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, the post game could really, really improve, and he does have some post skills in terms of having a little hook shot and a fadeaway, but he's a bit too reliant on them and a bit too happy just to settle. I feel like if he had a boost in aggressiveness and he'd get into the paint and try and dunk every time. Obviously, you can't do that, I know, but get deeper positions, and all of a sudden those fadeaways are coming 2 or 3 feet closer, and they're going in at a much higher rate. Right now he's a pretty middling post player, and I feel like he could be one of the best in the NBA. He also has the jumper. I don't know if we'll ever have a 3, but he has a decent mid-range, and that could certainly open up some possibilities for the Suns. So we'll see. Because if he does improve, the Suns can have a chance to win with Chris Paul still producing really well. This year, next year, year after that, they have a good shot if Ayton can make the next step and become a guy who can average, maybe 22 points a game and 14 rebounds. I mean, that would be a big, big jump, but I think he's definitely capable, and that would just be massive for the Suns. If not, I don't think they're going to win this year. I don't know if they'll ever win. They'll definitely be a decent team with Booker and, Chris Paul, however long he stays on the Suns, Bridges, those guys. And then Ayton, he's still a positive impact player. He's still a good player, but it would be a little disappointing if he just is what he is for the rest of his career, just because he has so much talent, and he definitely has the ability. The signs are there, so we'll see. I think he can make the leap. I'm a believer in DeAndre Ayton. And then defensively, he's already pretty good, but if he has improved a lot there. But if he could keep improving, the Suns are already 5th in defense this year. But if he was even better, he could be the backbone of one of the best defenses in the league, and I think that's also definitely a possibility. So DeAndre Ayton. And then my third player is Jaren Jackson Jr., who has missed the majority of this season due to injuries. He's only played like 4 games, so not too much to judge off this year. But he's 21 years old. He's a power forward who can also play center. He's 6'11" and mobile. In the 2019-20 season, he averaged 17.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks a game, as well as shooting 39% from 3 on 6.5 attempts a game. And he is an absolutely great defender in terms of both his paint protection and his ability to switch onto the perimeter and guard smaller, quicker players. It's really, really good. He's also a great shooter, as I mentioned, the 3-point shooting. His release is a bit funky, but it goes in, and he's able to get it off. He's a really quick release. And that's something the Grizzlies need, someone who can stretch the floor. And he also has a pretty promising post game. He's pretty strong. If he can exploit mismatches, and he has a good jumper. So this is a very promising player on both ends of the floor. And the question is, can him and Ja Morant be the 1-2 on a championship team, or do the Grizzlies need to maybe, trade some picks, trade some depth, and get a third guy? Maybe not now, but 2-3 years in the future when they're more competing for championships than right now when they're just competing to make the playoffs. We'll see what happens. I think Jaren Jackson is a big ingredient. Ja Morant is obviously too, but if Jaren can be even more of a scorer for them, he's obviously already great defensively, but maybe if he adds a bit of muscle and becomes, I think it's probably the path is probably more of a rim protector, because those are just more valuable than perimeter defenders these days. If he's playing at a defensive player of the year level and he's averaging 20 points a game and shooting great from three, then if Ja Morant also continues to develop, that can be 1-2 on a really, really good team. But can it be a 1-2 on a championship team? Or maybe they trade for someone else. If you think of the ideal player, I think it's probably a wing player who can really, really score, because Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. are both great, but I wouldn't say either of them are scorers. I'd say Jackson is more of a two-way player who can really shoot the ball, and Ja Morant's more of a dual threat guy with his playmaking and scoring. So if they can get maybe a wing scorer, someone like that, that could be the third piece. They could be a really, really good team. I'm talking about like 2-3 years from now, not right now, but a really, really good team in the future for a long time with those two guys, obviously given health and all those things. So we'll see what happens. I like Jaren Jackson Jr. I like his defense a lot. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave in the comments some players who you guys think are important for the NBA's future and who could really change the future dynamics of the NBA. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.